Hi, everyone. This is Angela, and you're listening to Homeschool Unrefined, the podcast where we keep homeschool simple, real, and fun.
And this is Marin. You've got episode 123, What's Saving Our Homeschool, and Personalities of Four Tendencies. And we're going to get to all of that in just a few minutes, but first we just want to come on and say hello. Thank you all for being here. We're so glad you show up every week. If you do, and if you're new, welcome. We're really glad you're here.
Yes, glad to be back with all of our friends from the podcast.
Always.
And a special hello to our Patreon supporters. We have a couple shout outs, couple new Patreon supporters, Cynthia and Jill. Welcome, Cynthia and Jill.
Woohoo!
We're glad to have you. If you are interested in supporting us on Patreon and getting extra episodes and a community of people, you can go to patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined.
A little bit about our podcast, which if you've been here, you've heard this lots, but I feel like it's so good to talk about every week, and we won't take much of your time, but we want to tell you that what you're doing right now is good. And where you're at right now is good. And we want to give you credit for all the things that you've done and you are doing. We want you to feel good about where you are right now. Number one, that's the first thing, right?
Definitely.
And we want to help you feel like you don't have to keep adding things to your plate to do a better job. We don't want you to feel like overwhelmed by doing more and more and more and more things. We want you to feel like maybe it's even better to take things off of your plate or just adjust or just look at things differently. And sometimes that's all it takes.
For sure. Sometimes you can get caught in the trap, and I do this too also, where you're listening to podcasts, reading blogs, talking to somebody at co-op, looking on Instagram and seeing people who homeschool.
It's a cycle, and you can spin in the cycle forever. Right,
and you can think like, I should be doing what that person's doing, or what they're doing is amazing. Oh, I want that too for us. I should just add that.
Just add it.
and that sometimes is okay, but a lot of times what you need to do is less, so that the things that you're really good at and your kids are really good at can rise to the surface and shine.
Right.
All right, so supporting us on Patreon is great, but if you are looking for a free way to support our podcast, we love that too. One way that you can do that is to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Believe it or not, this helps us tremendously in getting new people to find us. If you have not done this already, and there's a lot of you that have, thank you. But if you have not done this, would you consider doing it? Apple Podcasts is actually making it easier now. It used to be kind of tricky to figure out. It's not anymore.
It was.
If you just search us in the Apple Podcasts app, which you can do on like an iPhone, iPad, iPod, a Mac computer, any kind of Apple device. If you search for us in the Apple Podcast app, you can just scroll down and easily leave us a rating or review. We would appreciate that so much.
That's so awesome. Also, big announcement. We're super excited to announce we are going to be having a brand new thing. We're doing a coffee hour live with our patrons November 20th at 3:00 Central.
Yes. So this is like a live gathering online.
Yep.
Can you still say, you can say live online. Yeah. Live.
Absolutely.
Online. Yes. So in your PJs.
Or grab your favorite beverage and join us.
Right. And so we're going to talk about the holidays, and then we're going to have some time for Q&A. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you will have access to that. And if you've been thinking about joining Patreon, now would be a great time to do that.
Yeah. So start thinking about a great movie or documentary or audiobook that your kids could listen to for an hour while we all get together.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to do this.
Me too. Definitely. All right, Marin, you told me that there is a show that you wanted to share with everybody.
Yeah, I did.
And so we just thought, let's just use this time to share a show each that we are really into right now. We actually just recorded a podcast episode for Patreon where we talked all about this. It's an LTW extra. And since then, it's only been a few days. Since then, we have more more things that
I know.
we didn't share there that we want to share with people. And so we just thought, let's just do it here.
Exactly.
What are you really into right now? What are you watching that you want to share with us?
Okay, so I am actually on the LTW Extra a couple days ago, whoever listened to that, you might have heard me talk about a new show on Hulu called The Weekly, which is from the New York Times, who they have a podcast called The Daily, which comes out every day.
Right.
This is The Weekly, which comes out every week. And it's actually, I think they aired on FX like once a week. And then the next day it goes on to Hulu. So it is just basically a half an hour of just they deep dive into a story that they've been working on, right? So I did talk about that on the LTW Extra, but I didn't talk about their latest episode that I think actually came out like a day ago, maybe it came out like yesterday here when we're recording this. And it's about the New York City school system and how segregated it is. And it is so fascinating, especially because I was just in New York City and, obviously I didn't get to know the school system. And I fell in love with New York City. I now feel, I have my heart tugs at New York City. When things are happening there, it makes me sad, things like this. And it's also kind of a microcosm of the whole United States too, in some ways. And so they just talked about how, it's been 65 years since it's been illegal to segregate schools. And yet New York City has some of the most segregated schools in the nation, and how that's, really impacting the adults that come out of the, have come out of the New York City school system and like what their future holds because of that. And it's really maddening. And I was just sad about it. But also I felt so filled with hope because these kids are there's this group of kids, high schoolers in New York City, who they formed like this coalition to really have an influence on the New York City government about the school system. And they are so articulate, and they're so they've really come up with so many great arguments for what needs to happen and why. And I'm like so convinced, and I'm so proud of these people, these young people doing these amazing things with very little to none. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How long is the episode?
I think it's a half an hour.
It's half an hour
or less.
Is it based on one of their podcast episodes? Are they taking one of those?
Oh, that's a good question.
This is so interesting. I'm gonna watch.
So I haven't heard anything on the podcast about this. I haven't. Okay. So
okay.
I don't know. Maybe
that's super
I don't
interesting.
listen to it every day though anymore. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm getting more into news. I don't know. I think this is cyclical for me. Sometimes I'm into news, sometimes I'm not. Yeah. But I'm getting more into it, and different kind of news shows, because I'm not into like local news. Yeah, I'm not into like cable news or whatever. But when there are different kinds of news shows that have like good stories,
yeah,
I'm into that. I'm here for that.
Yeah, and I feel like it's not sensationalized. It's just really good reporting. It's very good investigative reporting that I feel like it's the stuff that very easily could go under the radar, because these people are not highly influential, the people who are doing these great things. So it's very easy to forget about them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. But it was, it just reminded me how much we have to go.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you for that recommendation. And that's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu right now. So
okay, I might watch it tonight.
And there's lots of other great episodes. I've watched maybe 2 or 3 other ones, and they're great.
Yeah, really that's
good,
great.
Really good. How about you? What are you watching these days? What are you into?
Well, you just reminded me of one. This is a mini one just because of what you said, but somebody in our Instagram recommended United Shades of America.
Oh,
have you heard of this one?
I feel like I did hear I heard the recommendation maybe, but I haven't looked into it.
Whoever it was that recommended this, thank you. I immediately watched it because the reporter or the host is W. Kamau Bell, who was in a podcast that I used to listen to, and I can't remember the name of it. So I already knew him and that I liked him. And so I watched one episode and it was amazing. It was kind of like what you're talking about, news story, but like with talking about like race in the US. And it was really good. The episode I watched was really great. And I thought, I'm going to watch more of this.
Yeah.
So anyway, along the same lines.
And where did you watch that? Where do you find that?
I think okay, so I don't remember. I know I bought an episode on Amazon Prime. Okay. I realized that I would need to buy it on Amazon Prime if I was going to watch it. I cannot remember. Oh, it's CNN.
Okay.
It's like the CNN app. You can get it on there. I don't know if you have to pay for that or what, but I just bought one episode on Amazon Prime. So I might look into that again. Cool. Anyway, what I wanted to share here, which I did share on our LTW Extra, but I have more to share, is Fleabag.
Yes.
I am just going to keep like driving home Fleabag. This is the best show I've seen in a long time. I'm in love with Fleabag. It's a British comedy drama.
Yeah.
well written comedic drama. I don't even know if that's the right category, but that's what category I'm putting it in.
It all sounds so good. I just need to do it. But yeah,
you just need to do it. So Phoebe Waller-Bridge wrote it and is the main actress in it,
which I'm a fan of her writing because I was obsessed with Killing Eve,
right? Which I've now started watching.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy and I we're into it. Yeah,
I bet. Yeah, okay, does Jeremy like that? I bet he does.
He does. Yeah. He does. He said this is kind of like the Americans, and he loves the Americans. So
true.
Okay, so but Fleabag. Yes. The reason I was okay starting it was because I heard it's just 6 episodes per season, and each episode is 30 minutes long.
Doable.
And there's only 2 seasons, so I was like, all right, I can do this. Starting something that's like 6 or 7 episodes, like 20 episodes per season, is just so much of a commitment for me. But I thought I can start this, and so I did. And so I watched season 2 first because that's what a lot of people recommended.
Yeah.
That was the better one. I loved it. Then I went back and watched season 1. I felt like it was almost as good as season 2, and I'm really glad that I did that. Now I'm rewatching season 2 again because and here's my new thing that I didn't talk about on our LTW Extra. A couple new things. I'm watching with closed captioning, pretty much everything I watch now.
Everything?
I don't know if that's
or just the British.
I'm watching a lot of British stuff, so I don't know if that's my age. Like I can't hear as well anymore. What it is.
Let's just blame it on the
I'm
speakers.
catching I'm catching everything now.
That's
like
good.
Where I missed half of it before.
Well, definitely I can see that with the British shows.
Yeah.
I feel like British people in those shows talk really fast. I'm sure they don't talk any faster than I do, but it feels like it because I'm trying to figure out what they're saying.
Right. And they talk over each other we do here, but it's just harder to catch that. Totally. And it's so well written, and I know that every single word matters, and I want to hear every single word.
Totally.
So I'm watching with closed captioning again.
Oh my gosh.
And then also, I listened to Laura Tremaine on 10 Things to Tell You podcast. She did a Fleabag, a Fleabag episode, basically, where she talked with a friend of hers who was also into Fleabag, and they just kind of broke it down, and it was really, really good.
Awesome.
So if you haven't watched Fleabag, you could start it. It's definitely rated R for sexual content. Okay. So if that bothers you, I understand.
Yeah.
It was kind of a lot for me, but to me, I felt like it was really integral to the storyline. So I was like, I got why it was there. It wasn't,
totally
just to do it. So it's definitely not for kids, but it's really, really, really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. It's definitely on my list. You've convinced me.
I know.
I just have to make it happen.
You have to make it happen.
All right. Let's move on to our main topic. I'm super excited about this because we got lots to talk about today.
We do.
We are doing a series called What's Saving Our Homeschool, which I love this at the beginning of the school year. And I know it's not totally the beginning of the school year anymore. But I still think it's very relevant because sometimes we kind of just think of all the negative things. This is what's not going well. This is what we need to change and tweak. But let's think of like one thing that is really doing it for us right now, homeschool wise.
Right.
And I love that because if we could put all of our things that are working on a big list together and just pool all our ideas, just think what an amazing homeschool we'd have.
Right. It's good to focus on the positive because a lot of times we can be focused on the negative, like what was hard today or what didn't go well or what I'm screwing up. Right.
Yeah. I'm just thinking I'm screwing up. This is not going well. I'm going to make, I'm making permanent damage here, whatever. So like, it's so good for us to just think there are good things that are happening today.
Yes, definitely. Myron, why don't you start
Sure.
and tell us what is saving your homeschool right now?
So this is nothing earth-shattering, and I think it's important.
It never is.
I know.
It's okay.
And I actually, at first I was like, I'm not going to say this. It's not a big deal, but I'm going to.
It's a big deal.
It's nature. Nature is saving my homeschool right now. And there's lots of reasons why, but I decided to stick with this one to talk about it because I want to encourage everybody to think of things that are not earth-shattering, to give credit to those things that don't seem like a big deal, but really it could be the biggest deal.
Well, okay, I think this is a big deal, but the thing is we talk about it a lot already, so it seems like, that's something that you talk about a lot. Obviously.
Oh, we've heard this from
important.
you, Marin.
We've heard this.
Enough. Yeah. But I have other things to say about it. But I also think it's tricky to talk about this because it's not something you can just go purchase on Amazon and make your homeschool better, from a package. So it's not like a clean cut little, like a curriculum that you can buy and just do. So, and I know that sometimes it's easier to just do that, but I do feel like nature is something that is accessible to everyone at some, in some form, in some way.
Yep.
And we can all do it. So I say let's take advantage of it. So the things that I've noticed, the reasons why I'm really loving and so thankful for nature right now is that I think my kids are way healthier when we're out in nature more. The germs just aren't cooped up in a house. And so we're getting out and getting all the earth, good bacteria from the earth and things like that. I think that really helps with my kids' health. I really do. It also makes them healthier because they're running around and getting fresh air and all that kind of stuff too. I do seriously believe that getting out into nature and being active outside is as good as a math lesson a lot of days or a reading lesson or whatever. Maybe even more because there's something that happens that switches, I feel like, in my kids where they're, they will always there will always be a bit of compliance kind of when it comes to doing a math assignment or a reading assignment or something like that. But there's something free about going outside that I feel like switches in their brain. They are suddenly feel free to be themselves in some way. And they play in a different way when they're outside. They're just, I feel like, more themselves.
Yeah.
And feel free to jump in if you hear anything that you want to add, but, cause I know you feel the same way. I think I feel like,
I was going to say my kids, I don't know if it's their ages or the fact that I've been hammering in nature and getting outside to them their whole lives, but they're a little bit resisting my pleas for this. And so, I think it's because they're kind of past, they think they're past the pretend play in nature. And there's things inside they'd rather be doing. And so, but when I say, this is what we're doing, let's go. They get into it once we're out.
Right. And I think the compliance, there is a compliance that happens with my kids too. Like they're like, okay, we'll do this, whatever. Because I've taught them they have to say that, or like they need to do that part. That's important. But there's something that happens once they get out there. Once they're out there, it's just like, I feel like their brain is on a different wavelength completely.
Yeah.
That's different than any other time. Another thing that happens, and I'm sure we've all noticed this, that our kids get calmer. My kids are, whenever they're getting swirly, spending time outside is like the thing. It's like the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anything else that can fix that besides getting outside.
Yeah.
And I feel like that happens a lot with my kids. My kids are often very squirrely and just, jumping around, bouncing on the wall, off the walls, So some of my kids more than others. So, and even once they get outside, it's not like it's not like they're still hyper when they're outside. It's like getting outside calms them down. It's so interesting. Just because I feel like they have more the space to do just move their bodies more, and it feels better.
Yeah, I mean, okay. It's like this for me too, in a different way. But like today, I'll just be honest. Today I had a few things that were really frustrating me at home, and like probably 3 things in my head that I was like, ugh, why is this happening? Yeah. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Or whatever. And then we had to leave to go pick up my daughter from the bus stop, which is what we've been doing every day. It's a mile walk, so we walk a mile there, walk a mile home. I was basically to the end of the driveway, and I had forgotten what I was upset about. And I still couldn't tell you what I was upset about. It was like somebody leaving somebody leaving something where they shouldn't. Something like that. It was just inconsequential things that I was getting worked up about inside. Yeah. And like a few feet of walking, and like my brain cleared. And I felt better. And so I feel like what it does for me is brings me out of a funk. Yes. And then also it helps like the interpersonal relationships between me and the kids and each other.
Oh my gosh.
Because whatever you were mad about inside.
I was just going to say that too.
You were going to say that?
That was one of my points, was it changes the I wrote down the equilibrium of my family. Like, whatever is out of balance, like gets back into balance when we're outside.
Yeah.
So, and as much as, and so the complaining ahead of time or whatever is just so much, it's just so worth it when I think of how it's going to be afterwards or while we're outside. Right. It's like so worth it to me. And then also I just think as much as I want my kids to, learn inside, I feel like they learn out of curiosity more when they're outside. They're just curious about things. They're like, what happens if I flip this rock over? Like, what's under there? Or, I wonder how high I can climb up this tree. There's just so many questions that they answer themselves, or they just look around and do things. And, I just think it's a natural way of the scientific method, and it's just all the things we want them to do, the thinking processes that we want them to do all day long in our own plans sometimes happen 1,000 times better outside on their own, just in their own way. So I just feel like why am I working so hard some days to make them do these things inside, when if we just went outside, they could just do them on their own, in their own way. And they know how to do them best for themselves often. So,
right. They don't even need you.
Yeah, right.
They need you to push them out there.
They need me to provide the opportunity for them to do that.
Provide the opportunity.
Yeah. And I think this is not something that just happens overnight though. So like if it's not a thing, that you're not used to doing, that all this stuff isn't just going to happen. So like you bring your kids outside tomorrow and you're like, well, Marin said this was a magical experience and now like everybody's still complaining. Well, that happens too a lot. I have to say, like I've voxed you on this trip and got, that was the worst hike ever. Like everybody complained the whole time and I was done with it. So that does happen.
Yeah. Right.
And especially if it's not a regular thing, it will certainly happen. Yeah. So just, be ready for that.
This reminds me of our book club that we did. Okay, not last summer, but the summer before on the podcast with the book How to Raise a Wild Child.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could go read that again right now because I need a shot of it. It's like sometimes I read a book, it was so impactful, and then I need like a devotional or something, like a daily.
Yes.
Can you give me a daily
Boost.
nugget from that book? And that's what I need. So if maybe I should go re-listen to that. If you have not listened to that series, I think it was like a 3-part series we did on that book. You don't even need to read the book. Just go listen.
We have the cliff notes right there. I mean, I told you the highlights.
Yeah, it's in the 80s.
So
episodes in the 80s, but we'll just put it in the show notes.
I wanted to just share just a few things, like if you are going outside, if you want to go outside and you're like what should be in my starter kit for going outside? Here are the things I would suggest. Like I've talked about probably in the last episode, especially in the last LTW with our patrons, I talked about hiking shoes, but just get like the proper gear, basically. If you're in a very wet climate, which I am right now, make sure you have rain jackets and umbrellas or whatever. I prefer just rain jackets. I have kids who only want umbrellas. Okay, fine. Whatever. Yeah. I would prefer not to bring umbrellas everywhere we go. But if that's what gets them outside, sure. Just go with it if you can.
Yep.
Also, some of my kids really, really what gets them outside is a sketchbook and the proper, to them, writing utensil. So it might be like a special pack of pens or markers or whatever. So, or color pencils or something like that. So just whatever like really inspires them to draw outside. That's a great thing. Another thing, and I know your kids really love to take pictures too, a camera. So it might just be your iPhone camera because those are really good now. Like sometimes we bring out our SLR camera, our DSLR camera, right? So, so it just depends. And then, afterwards you could do an editing session or, watch YouTube videos on how to edit those things. If that's what your kids are into, it can be like a whole rabbit hole full of, other learning experiences. So, and then my last thing I was just going to say is a dog, because a dog really does get you outside.
It does.
Now that's a whole nother commitment, but it's helped us a lot.
Especially a dog. Our dog is, we have an invisible fence, so he can go outside, and he's not very needy. I mean, he loves a walk, but he's not needy. Yeah, he's not super needing one all the time. So he doesn't. We can get away with.
Oh yeah.
We can get away with not having to do it. But you don't have a fence in the backyard. Your dog needs to get out for a walk.
He really does.
All the time.
Well, and we've kind of just hyped that up. I think that he needs a walk all the time because we've told the kids he really needs a walk all the time. So he's in the habit of that. So now he needs it every day. You know what I mean? So we've really talked it up as that's what dogs need. So, hey, whatever works. All right. I talked a long time. Angela. Yeah. What's saving your homeschool right now?
All right. So mine is something that I've talked about before. We've talked about a lot on here, but I'm going to talk about one aspect of it. It is getting away for extended chunks of time, like longer chunks of time. And so I'm talking about, as an introvert, I need alone time.
Yes.
But what I'm talking about today is I have just realized, and I think it's because I've been talking to some friends and some of our patrons about this, but I need more than just the little bits of time each day that I can get alone. I need a longer chunk of time. And so that is actually what is saving me right now, because our family is kind of going through a really stressful time.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of you are too. Yeah. So I'm just going to share this. We've had some major family health stuff going on, some major health crises. My oldest just started high school, which is still an adjustment to me. And Jeremy has been traveling every week.
Yeah.
And he is going to be so this is like a 4 month or more
Oh,
time that he's going to be, he's gone every week.
So you're,
and so I'm like alone.
you're going through a marathon. You're not like sprinting through a short-term tough time. This is like long. This is a lot happening for a long time.
Right. And my little bits of self-care that worked for me before just aren't cutting it anymore.
Yep.
I mean, they're essential.
For sure.
They're essential. But I am finding like I just am craving, needing longer bouts of time. So a couple weekends ago, I went away for the whole weekend. And then I decided, and it was so good, I didn't want to come home.
Yeah.
It was Sunday and I
Really?
was like,
You didn't want to come home?
yeah,
Wow.
no, I felt like almost, I don't know what the right word is. Like almost like, I was just getting started. Like I just got started and I couldn't even.
I think you're gonna need a week.
I know. Because usually what happens with me is I miss my family so
know.
much that I want to come home right
That's
away.
why
Like,
I was
I
surprised
have a
when you
hard
said
time
that.
being away.
Because whenever we go anywhere together,
I know.
on the
I
last
know.
day, you're like, I can't even handle this. I need to get home right now.
I know. Sunday, I was like dragging my feet. Like, do I have to go?
Wow.
I don't want to go. So I decided with the help of like some nudges from people in my life that I need to do this more often. Like I need to do something like once a month, or more in this season in particular. And so that is what I'm doing right now. I am calling in all the reinforcements.
Good.
Like who can help me? Like I'm calling in people I wouldn't normally ask, or people who have offered to help, but I've never taken them up on it.
No. I couldn't. Not yeah, you can. Good.
And so I'm doing that and I'm planning ahead. Like I just called my mother-in-law for a time in December. Can you come down this random? I mean, I'm looking at the calendar way ahead so that I can make sure that I have something set up for me. And a lot of times this is weekends. So Jeremy gets home on a Friday and then I'm going to leave.
Yep. Because
I have to.
Yes.
Like I have to. And so the bummer of that is, and the reason that the reason I'm hesitant to set up something like that is because we aren't getting a lot of family time. I mean, he's gone during the week. So if there's a weekend, if he comes home on the weekend, that's our time to hang out as a family and do fun stuff. And so I'm taking that away from everybody. But I know that like I want to give my family and myself the best of me. I want to give them 100%, me at 100%. And right now I'm giving them me at 30%.
Yes.
And so
you're really not taking much away from them when you say I'm
no,
taking that.
They're going to be fine.
Yes.
They are going to be fine.
Absolutely.
So I just feel like this is a necessity, and it's like it is truly what's saving me right now. And I am and here's the thing too. People have suggested this to me, but nobody's going to actually do it besides me. Nobody's going to make it happen besides me. Nobody's going to call all the people, put it on the calendar.
Right.
It has to be me who's like, I'm doing this.
And for most people, nobody's even telling you. Nobody's even telling you, like, you probably should get away for a weekend. Nobody's going to say that to you. Most people, like, it's just not a thing that people will, it's just not on their radar.
I know. And I've only had a couple people say it to me because this time is so stressful.
Yes.
They've noticed and they're like, oh, you're going to need to plan for some time away. But my kids aren't saying it to me. Jeremy's not saying it to me, just not because he doesn't think I should, but because he's just not focused on it. He's focused on his own working and traveling and seeing everybody. And
he's
so
got a lot on his plate.
He's got a lot of other stuff on his plate. And so, and he doesn't want me to be gone. He wants, he wants our family to be together. So, I mean, he's supportive of it, but my point is like, I'm the one who can make this happen. Yep. And I have to make it happen. And so I am giving you permission right now. If you think this is you, like I need to get away, whether it's a day, overnight, a weekend, whatever it is, I'm giving you that little nudge that you might think that you're needing. Like maybe nobody's telling you and you haven't even thought of it yourself because you've thought like, that is a huge dream. I couldn't even possibly do that. And I'm just telling you, you should, you can.
Yes.
You deserve it. Your family deserves it. if that's what's going to keep you going.
That's so awesome. And I hope you're all listening to this and thinking, what is it that I need? Like, you might not need a weekend away. You might need something else. But maybe there's something that you have been like Angela and thought, no, I could not. I couldn't do that. But I think it's those things that you probably want the most.
Right.
The things that you're like, well, I would never probably do that. I mean, that's just too much.
Yeah.
It's probably not.
Yeah.
It's probably not too much. And I think that we think we build the things up that we really want, really want or need so much that we think it's impossible to do those things. But
right.
It's probably not.
It's probably not. You should make it happen.
Yeah.
And I want this is the other kicker that I've realized recently. I want my kids to see me taking care of myself.
Yep.
Because I want them to take care of themselves.
Yep.
And if they see me running ragged and like snapping at people all the time, then that's what they're going to do when they get stressed out. And so I want to model for them what you do when you have a stressful time.
That's so good. And that's a life lesson. That's part of homeschooling. You're homeschooling.
Yeah.
Good job.
All right. So next we have a clip from our personalities and homeschool classes. And so this is our fourth and final clip that we're going to share with you because we have 4 classes available. And you've probably, if you've listened to the last 3 episodes, you've heard us talk about it. But these classes are so that you can learn more about yourself and your kids in your homeschool. And we have done that through personalities. Marn and I have been talking, learning, digging deep into personalities for over 20 years together. And so we have found that this is the thing that has made my homeschool go smoothly. This is the thing for me.
It's been the most effective for me too. And
the most effective.
I feel like it's been great for not even just homeschool, but like for our relationships too, which is a big reason why we probably all homeschool. Like my relationship with my husband is better. My relationship with my kids are better. My relationship with like everybody is better because I'm just much more aware of who people are and, and who they are and their strengths and,
and your own strengths. And so you're not trying to do things that don't really fit with your personality in homeschool. Yeah. You're doing the things that fit really well with you and make you shine. Yeah. And so we want that for all of you. We want, because, a lot of people get into homeschool and they burn out because this is really hard. Yeah. Or they think, oh, I'm not wired that way.
Right.
But really you could be. If you wanted, you could be wired that way if you wanted. Right. And it is sustainable. Absolutely. If you are homeschooling to your strengths. Yep. So anyway, this clip is about the Four Tendencies. And the Four Tendencies is a personality framework developed by Gretchen Rubin. And we, talk about it all in our classes. But this short clip is talking about questioner children and then into talking about obligers. So enjoy this, and then we'll come back and do LTWs after. Questioner children, I think, can be identified. Now, again, I think it's really hard to identify a questioner child, but me as a child, I remember I did a lot of questioning. Why? My parents would say, like, you can't do this or whatever. And I would be like, why? Like, okay, you can't, and this is just an example. They let me ride my bike all over town. So this is not even, you can't ride your bike to the park would be an example. And I'd say, why? Because I said so. Yeah. And that just drive me nuts. Like, no, tell me why. Because I want to judge your reason. Right. Like, what if they're like, well, it might, like you get to this intersection and it's a dangerous intersection. Then I would say, no, it's not. I'll wait there and I'll watch for cars and what, like I would argue everything, which is why they would say like, just, we said so. So
we said so. I know. I always swore I would not say that as a parent. And I said it so many times because I'm like, I can't come up with any more. Like nothing will convince you anyway. At this point. Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's also, as a questioner child, there may be a discrepancy. You may see a big discrepancy because I think one of my children is a questioner and he he's very good at following directions when he's on board with it.
Yeah.
And with his, and I'm kind of feeling out his, his Enneagram and Myers-Briggs, and I see those personality traits. Like he really buys into certain things based on his personality. And so those things he's very on board with and looks like an upholder.
Yeah.
A lot of times in those situations. And then it's something that doesn't fly with him. It is like we're on a debate team or something, like we're having a debate or,
Yeah.
I just feel like we're in a courtroom or something. It can get, pretty heated. And
it can get exhausting as a parent.
It can get exhausting. And like,
really not much is going to satisfy.
Right. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I haven't even thought it through that much. So like, I don't care to think about this that much, but he needs that.
Yeah.
To be convinced. So
yeah. I mean, a good answer might be like, I just feel like, I don't feel right about this. It's just my intuition.
Would that work?
I don't know. It might work for me.
I think that would work for some personality types for sure. Yeah.
Not your son.
I don't think. No, I think he really likes very, things concrete. That he could, concrete, something he could Google and like affirm that is correct. That's what he would prefer.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say though, for working with questioners, if you have questioner children, I think validating their questions is so important. They don't want to just be blown off.
Yes.
So, I think like, oh, great question. I'm so glad you're thinking about this.
Yeah.
Giving them good reasons instead of saying, just because I said so. Right. And so you might give them a reason. Well, I'm not comfortable with you at this intersection because there's a lot of traffic. Yep. And they might be like, oh, but I'm going to be safe. And you might say, well, that's my reason.
Yeah. So it's the final answer.
That is my reason. I know you don't agree and you don't like it, but that's my reason.
Oh, so that is so helpful. I'm going to use that though. Because sometimes I think questioners really just like the finality of that.
Yeah.
They feel safe in that. That's the final answer.
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't up for debate anymore.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Because if they sense that it's up for debate, they are going to keep
to
convince you. Or if they sense that you really don't know, like you really haven't thought about it, don't say I haven't really thought about this. That's like, they're like, oh, good.
Great. Because I've thought about it a lot. I will always beat you in that situation.
Yeah.
For sure. And also, I think questioners definitely could use more of that in their homeschool. Like they could be, their homework, their work for something could be, why does this happen? What are their questions? What are they wondering about? And have them do research on those things.
This is a great opportunity that you want to harness instead of like squash.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So use that questioning to your benefit by having them ask questions.
Right. Because I mean, ultimately, it's so good.
It is
so good that they're questioning things.
It's like a dream for homeschool to have them ask why.
Yes. So I don't know. Let's look that up.
Yes. Totally. Just go on tangents. Go down those rabbit holes with them.
Right.
And often this, and I think this is going to be, and it has been a theme in all of these personality classes, is be flexible with what your kids or your child needs as far as learning. Like if they are not on board with the language arts curriculum or something that you picked by yourself, and they have vetted it, your questioner has vetted it and said, this is not going to work for me, I am not on board with this, you may have to reconsider.
Yeah.
What is going to work for them?
Right.
They're not upholders. They're not going to just do it.
Right. And this goes for all the types, but I mean, yes, rebels too. What's the word? Respecting your child's like needs and desires around what they're learning.
Right. And who they
really
are.
Important, and who they are, because it's not going to be fun for them or you then having to deal with that.
Right.
If you're going to push through on something.
this is not giving into their, their selfish desires. This is just like the core of who they are.
Yeah.
So it's not like not necessarily even up for debate that they can change that. I mean, they can, but is that a good thing?
Yeah.
It'd be better if they really understand who they were and what they needed, and were able to communicate that, and then got some positive feedback from it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, now we can move on to the obliger.
Obliger. You can count on me, and I'm counting on you to count on me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, obligers really need that outer expectation. They meet outer expectations, not inner expectations. So they need somebody often to need them.
Yeah. They need somebody to tell them what they expect.
Yes, exactly.
Because that is what they're going to meet. They're going to have a hard time being internally motivated.
Yes, exactly.
They do want to do things, and they have goals, and they want to, whatever it is their goal are, like learn an instrument or go for a walk every morning or whatever. They want to do those things, but they have a hard time meeting their own inner expectations. They need like an outer expectation to help them do that.
Right, exactly. And this it really depends on their personalities too. Like they may prefer to have a lot of outer expectations so that they feel accomplished and they get things done. They learn that instrument, they finish that workbook or the novel. They may not finish a novel unless they have like chapter 1 needs to be done on this day and so on.
Yep.
Or maybe it's a book club that happens, those kind of things. And then other people who are obligers may need a lot less outer expectations because they don't want to accomplish that much stuff,
Yeah. But I would say if they're going to accomplish something, then they need generally an outer expectation, something like a commitment, a deadline, somebody expecting something from them,
right?
A class that they're going to go to, something like that, something like meeting a friend for a walk,
right?
Somebody else is really counting on you to do this thing. And I have to say, even though I'm not an obliger, I use these tactics knowing what an obliger is. I use some of these tactics on myself, like, oh, I need to put an outer expectation on this if I really want to do this.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's so good. An adult obliger may look like I'm just trying to think of what would be a good example of an adult obliger. For a homeschool parent, they may need to sign up for the co-ops. They may need to sign up for the online classes for their kids so that they get work done.
Yeah.
Because if they're just at home with their kids all day and their kids aren't the ones, maybe their kids are not upholders or, like asking for more work, they just may not get to much.
Right. We didn't say this, but obligers are the biggest category. So chances are most of you listening to this are obligers. So yes, I would say as an obliger homeschool parent, you might have a hard time just finding the inner motivation to get through a particular class or a particular curriculum or something.
Now, but this is where you could, once you start understanding your kids, if you have an upholder child or a questioner child who's really into, whatever, they can be your outer expectations. You know, you can be like, you have to be very conscious about it though. Like my child is really into, birds. So I really want to help him or her figure this out and learn more about birds. It's really important to him or her. So I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a conscious thing. You might know you've known this all along, but as an obliger, now that you're an obliger, that child is counting on you. You can be very conscious about that.
Yeah. Somebody counting on you is just is what it is.
Right.
Is what it is, what you need as an obliger.
I think it's easy to think, well, I'm an obliger. I can't homeschool because there's no accountability. But there are so many ways to have accountability. So there's no one tendency that just like can't do this or it's too hard for them.
For sure.
You can do this easily.
For obligers, it's more of I would say like one thing that would be helpful is going to a class or something versus getting a membership.
Yes.
Like, are you more likely to go if you have a membership to the museum? Probably not. But if you have a class that you're doing once a month or once a week, you're more likely to go to that because somebody's expecting you to be there at that time.
Yes.
The museum membership, nobody's expecting you to be there.
Right. Unless you have a meetup where you're like, at once a month, we're going to the science museum and people are expecting me to be there Tuesday at 1:00 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely like those play dates or, the co-ops or whatever, just anything where people are expecting you to be there. Now, there is this obliger rebellion that Gretchen Rubin talks about, where if you feel overburdened with,
too many outer expectations,
you will rebel. That a lot of obligers are late to things. They're just late, and it's because it's their little tiny way of rebelling because they often don't rebel, but it's just like a little rebellion. It's like a little.
I am sick of all these expectations.
Right. I'm gonna be late just to show.
And it's probably not even conscious.
Exactly. It's people who don't even know they're obligers. They just do it.
Yeah.
Or they may just full out like start saying no to everything because it's just that's an obliger.
Yeah, so that's obliger rebellion is like obligers might get overwhelmed by all of these expectations and then just be like, forget it, I'm doing nothing, and then they will rebel.
Right.
So you might recognize that in yourself.
Right. And as a child, an obliger child may do that too. And especially when we haven't, like we've talked about how we often expect children to be upholders. Just we want them to be good little kids, right? An obliger may keep going and keep going and keep going with all of your expectations until they just crack, Yeah. And there might be a big outburst and, and you're like, what? My little child who's like
little rule follower.
Yeah. Who just does everything I ask all the time. What happened? Well,
too much. It was too much. The other thing, if you have an obliger child that I would be aware of is making sure that they are doing things for themselves.
Yes.
And I think this is for adults too, if you're an adult obliger, but especially children because they are living in your world. And they are, especially if you're homeschooling, you're probably telling them what to do a lot.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that they're finding time for the things that they enjoy.
Right. And for the most part, obligers really feel safe doing what other people expect. They feel most comfortable doing that. So you almost have to get them into an uncomfortable state where they're thinking for themselves, what do you want to do today?
Yeah. And that might be you might write that down. I'm expecting you to whatever it is that do an art project or do their thing, whatever their thing is. Yes. I'm going to give you an hour to screw around and do nothing. And I'm expecting that of you today.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Love that.
All right. Let's do our LTWs.
All right.
Loving this week's. All right, Maren, let's hear your LTW this week.
Okay. So I am loving, it's actually this one company that's out here in Seattle. It's called Urban Float. But there are so many companies like this around the United States now. So it's basically an Epsom salt bath. I know it sounds funny, but it's you go into this pod, they call it. It's I think a float pod, they call it. And it's I don't even know, 200 gallons of water or something and 1,200 pounds of Epsom salt in this bath. Yeah. In this tub, and you just lay in it. And it's they also talk about how it's it's sensory deprivation kind of tank. So you can close the pod up so you're completely dark. It's like completely dark. You can
Yeah.
have light in there, but anyway, you can have some music, like ambient music playing if you want. But I don't know. I had the light on for a little while. It was a 60-minute session, and then I turned it off, and it was just the most relaxing thing I've experienced in a I don't know, maybe ever. But I did it because I have like this chronic pain in my neck and back. And especially sleeping on other people's beds during this, traveling and stuff. I've just really needed to find some different ways to relieve this pain. And Epsom salt baths I've always reacted like my body has really responded to Epsom salt. It's just been one of the most effective things ever for me. So I thought, what if I did like a really intense Epsom salt bath?
Right.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And so your back and neck feels better afterwards.
Yes, like so much. Like
okay.
for a long time, I had zero pain. But I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, which I haven't felt that in a really, really long time.
Yeah. So what's different about this is because there's so much salt, you actually float. I don't know if you mentioned this. So there's no gravity pulling you down. Like if you were sitting in your regular bathtub, you're sitting on the tub.
Right.
You're just floating in this tub. Yep. And so your muscles and bones can kind of relax after more than they ever could.
Yeah, even more than in a swimming pool or a hot tub. If you were sitting in a swimming pool or a hot tub, you're kind of floating, but this is just like completely 100%. Like you're not using any muscles. In fact, the whole time I had to like keep telling myself, don't use any muscles. And I think the more you do this, like the more your body is able to even go deeper into a relaxation mode is what they said. Like the more you do this, the more benefits you get from it. But they also talk about how it reduces stress. It increases mindfulness. It decreases anxiety. I don't know. They're just like so many things. They even said like it could enhance your creativity, which isn't that amazing? Because they were saying like after 20 minutes of your mind not getting any sensory input, like it goes into this different state. It slows down so much that it can start your brain waves actually start changing. So
wow.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's awesome. So you didn't have AirPods?
Oh, I did.
Earbuds
I did. You put earplugs in.
Oh, earplugs.
Earplugs.
Okay, so but you're not listening to anything.
Well, you can choose in this place. You could choose if you want ambient music or there are like different choices, or like if you want it for 5 minutes at the beginning and 5 minutes at the end, you could do that. So I did it for the whole time and she agreed, the lady who I talked to, she's like, yes, if it's your first time, you might want music the whole time, just so your mind can kind of shift. Yeah. Into
awesome.
Stuff. Oh my gosh. It was amazing.
I love it. What is it? What if somebody was going to look for it? What is it called?
I think
is it called like a float like Epsom salt float pod?
Maybe. I don't know. Another one around here that I've seen is Cocoon. They're really big out here. I've seen them like they're everywhere out here on the West Coast. So,
interesting.
Anyway,
I
think float pod.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay. Anyway, it was incredible, and I cannot wait to go back. Cannot wait.
Awesome.
Oh, and I was going to say, I just have to say this. This place had a 50% discount for first-time users. So you might find that. And then I also looked up Groupons. There were Groupons for like 10 places. So I could have done that too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is like affordable if you want to just try it out.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. All right. Angela, what are you loving this week?
Well, mine is bath related also, sort
Great.
of.
I'm so glad.
Okay, so this is changing my self-care, and this is not this is not the long chunks of time. This is like the smaller chunks of time during the day, but I like to take a bath at night, and I got this. It's called Tile Mall. That's the brand name, but I'll put it in the show notes. Bathtub Caddy.
Oh,
so what it
caddy.
does, it's not like a caddy like you carry it. It's flat and it lays across your tub.
Ooh.
Okay, like a piece of wood.
Nice.
Like laying across your tub, but your laptop or iPad or something can be on it.
Okay.
So you can like watch a show while you're taking a bath. Which I've never done before.
So awesome.
I've always listen to a podcast or something, but I'm kind of in a TV kick.
You are.
And
Which I'm on board with. I'm so glad you are.
This is amazing. My TV kick. I'm just loving it so much. And what I was doing before this was like bringing a chair from the kitchen into the bathroom, setting my laptop on it, like cranking my head to the side.
Oh, that's not good.
That didn't really work. And so I'm loving this bathtub caddy.
So
That's
great.
a terrible name.
Yeah.
Because it's not a caddy like from college. It's not like that.
I think of a caboodle.
It's not a caboodle. This is just like a flat thing that lays across your tub.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so like
what do you watch your
so I put my laptop on
okay.
it.
You do.
But I bet you could do like an iPad or something. I don't use one. So I'm loving it. And then I'm putting it on closed captioning.
Yeah.
So in case there's like water running or whatever, like I can hear.
Okay, here's another question. Do you use your AirPods when you're in the bathtub, or you just listen to it with the computer speakers?
I just use the computer speakers, but you could do the AirPods.
No, I think that's good actually, because I'd be afraid that I'd
drop your AirPods. Yeah. Well, I've done that before
in the water.
Actually, yeah, it was fine.
Okay, well that's good to know.
But because I do it. I use the AirPods for a podcast.
No, to listen. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
You're not a bath taker, really, are you?
Well, I have been. I mean, I do it because the Epsom salt baths, like I said, are like super effective for me. So I do it. I haven't done baths while I've been traveling.
Yeah.
There's just I haven't had a good bath to do it in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but but
right.
Sometimes I do. I mean, just because I know.
Okay.
I don't look forward to a bath as much as probably you do. But I do. I've always taken baths for relaxation.
Well, this is my time to actually watch a show where like it doesn't like people aren't going to walk in on me watching. Like I can watch any show. Like I can watch my own show.
Yes.
I'm alone in the bathroom.
People don't walk in on you when you're in your bathroom?
I mean,
You're
they
lucky.
do, but for like a second.
Okay.
I mean, always. I'm taking a bath. Well, I just wanted to ask you one thing. So they're not like hanging out with me, where it's like in my bedroom, people will come in and want to hang out.
While you're watching.
I can't really watch. So I can't watch the show.
Yeah, totally.
While kids are up. So I don't know. So this is like I get to watch a show every night because I'm taking a bath every night because I have my bathtub caddy.
Now that is self-care. That is self-care
know.
every night. Way to go.
Well, not every night. I'd say like 4 to 5 nights a week, though.
That's really good, though.
That's how I watch Fleabag.
That's how you get all those shows in. Way to go.
I know.
I love that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This was a long episode. Thanks for sticking with us. If you want to connect with us on social media, we are on Facebook and Instagram at Homeschool Unrefined. We have a website, homeschoolunrefined.com, where you can find links to everything that we talked about. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Homeschool Unrefined is created and produced by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Ethan Miller is our editor, and Amanda Ginn is our VP of all the important things.